All right, so for this drawing, you're gonna need some white paper from your manila paper envelope. Skillabop. You're gonna need your sketchbook, pencil, and permanent marker. So skilled boop. So what's fun is that usually when I would teach this, it would require we would do like some ruler stuff, but and do exact measurements and whatnot. But I'm not there to help do that because for some reason we're not too good at the whole using a ruler thing. And I don't know how many of you still have that protractor from that box of supplies that was day one. So we're just gonna kind of eyeball today. So that is what it is. So do that first. We're gonna be drawing our Moai heads. So to kind of block out the area, because if you remember, one of the style qualities was that they had rectangular shaped heads. So let's start with the rectangle. So I'm just going to do the easy thing. Kind of eyeball my journal in the middle and just kind of trace its boundaries. Cool. Then just toss that. All right, so now we got our square. Which, let me see if I can get this a little bit darker for y'all. There we go. So I got my square. So not only will we be following the 4 Moai style qualities, but we're also going to be using the proportions of the human face. When we talked about proportion as an element of art, it helps us when we see things relate them to each other, kind of make sense of our three-dimensional world. What's interesting about the human body is that we have a lot of really cool proportions. Like, for example, from your elbow to your wrist, that's the length of your foot. I know, right? It looks super crazy and super long and giant. And if you were to put your foot next to it or your shoe, look at that. If you're doing it, look how crazy that is right now. That's how big your foot is. Weirdo. Look at that big foot you have. I got a big foot too. Most people are as tall as they are from measure from the tip of one middle finger to the other. Some of your pro basketball players, like George Hill, have are like barely not even 6 foot, but have like a 6'3" wingspan. It's pretty crazy. Now our face has a lot of proportion. When it comes to like our ideas of beauty and aesthetics, we find symmetry. See why we learned about symmetry? We find symmetry to be the most beautiful. We like the way people look based off of how symmetrical they are. So we're going to use these ideas of symmetry as well as our style qualities of the Moai to make our drawing. So we look at our face, right? It's almost like the middle of our face has a line of symmetry. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I think the middle of this square is, and then use the edge of my journal. Just kind of draw a line. Cool. Kind of eyeballed it. I did a good job. It's in the middle. If you didn't eyeball it well, you have this thing called an eraser. It's pretty cool. You can use that and try again. Don't be lazy. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other axes. So I'm gonna kind of guess like that's kind of middle-ish. Let's see if I did a good job. Hey, I guessed okay. Cool. So we're gonna divide the face kind of in half in the middle and half lengthwise, even though that's not straight. So I'm gonna take my own advice here and all right, cool. So when we looked at the Moai, even though they had a rectangular head, they had kind of a rounded top to their head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of divide this area in half, kind of eyeball it, and I'm just going to round off the top of the head. Because even though their head isn't like super blocky, they still have kind of a little top. Some of them have little red hats on the top. So in the human face, I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind, which is that this middle line here, I want you to label eye line. Because if you were to look in a mirror right now, you would notice that your eyes are right in the middle of your head. I know that's weird. When we draw little people, we always put their eyes at the top of the head, which is cool if they had no brains. So you gotta make sure you got your brains. If you draw people without brains. So our eye line is right in the middle. So some more proportions. Your face is as wide as 5 eye widths. Basically, that means if I measured your eyes, your face would be 5 of those measured out. So normally we'd have our rulers, but we're just going to kind of have to eyeball it. So to make 5 boxes, you'll need 2 notches and 2 notches. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. Okay, so there's 1 eye width. Because obviously you wouldn't start from the middle and count out, because that would be weird, because then your eyes would be like right here and we would all make fun of you. So if that's about a knuckle, see if I can kind of angle that. It's like a knuckle. So I'm gonna hit that knuckle, kind of measure it there, and it's close enough. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. I got 5 eye widths wide. If you're still like that makes no sense, well, when we draw the eyes, you'll see. So if you notice, right, that you remember with our style qualities, not only did they rectangular shaped head, they also had a low, thick forehead. So I'm gonna like kind of draw that in, just right above that eye line. And if you'll remember, they didn't have really. Yeah, I'm sloppy. They didn't really have any pupils in their eyes, right? If you remember, they would use the shell eyes for when they wanted to give life to the statue, breathe life into it for those days when they would like feast it and stuff. Then when they didn't need to have its spirit dwell in the statue, they take the eyes out. So we're going to draw like how we see most of them on the island, which is without any eyes in them. So they don't have any pupils or anything. So we're just going to draw, football shaped, almond shaped eyeballs. Whoops. A little crazy with that one. And there we go. I got eyeballs. All right. So now I got the head, forehead, eyes, the eye bones connected to the nose bone. All right, nose bone, nose line. So now I'm going to kind of eyeball what's halfway between here and here. Spoiler alert, I'm going to guess like here-ish. So I'm going to draw my line. Nose line. It's where your nose lives. Right? Now, if you remember, what kind of a nose did they have? They had a big nose. It's a kind of a big triangular nose too. So I'm just kind of gonna give it a big old nose there, and then draw some circles. There we go. It's kind of big, kind of triangular. Big nose. Cool. Now you'd be thinking, okay, cool. If we follow this pattern, the lip line should be in the middle. So if I kind of guess, and then I do the lip line, and then I do like draw my lips, I don't have a room for a chin or anything. So actually on your face, your lip line isn't in the middle. In fact, the lip line that we're drawing here is actually the bottom of the lips. So now I'm going to draw a line halfway between that line, the lip line, and the nose line. Like I said, we're eyeballing it. Okay, so now I know that my lips start here. What kind of lips do they have? By those style qualities, thin, serious lips. So I'm not going to make my lips very big, but how long should I make my lips? Well, if you to draw an imaginary line from your pupils, those little black dots in your eyes, that's how wide your lips would be. So about a bing, about a boom. I know they're not very thick, so I'm just going to draw, right? Looking super serious. Now, I'm going to give him a chin. So I'm going to put a little chin mark right there, upside down U, that lip line. Finally, do they have like weird fat jaws? No, they kind of came in a little bit. So I'm going to give him a jaw there. Just kind of round it out from the nose line. So start the nose line, go down. Cool. Now, one last thing. Remember those big old floppers on the side of their heads? They had big old ears. So that's going to start at your eye line, just like you, and end, well, it depends on your genetics. Most of our ears will sometimes either end our mouth line or our nose line. So you pick. Whoop. Cool. Now I got my Moai head. Got my nice little sketches where I measured everything in, kind of like how artists will set stuff up. And now I'm going to switch to my permanent marker and go ahead and outline the important lines for my Moai head. So let's start here, go around. Kind of had the forehead there. Just going to outline everything. Once I got everything outlined, then I can go ahead, use my eraser. Just kind of clean up some of those marks that I made from my measurements using proportion. There we go, all nice and cleaned up. If you want, you can kind of like give him like the forehead line, and like if you want to like give him a little hat, you know, like whatever you want to do. But yeah, so there's our Moai head using the four style qualities: big nose, lips, rectangular head, and thin, serious lips. Just go ahead, make sure to take a picture, make sure it's not blurry, and submit it. Thanks.